Hey, Pierre, just a couple of things for me, just on your preparations for the draft, and how likely are you at this point to keep that number 10 pick?
Well, the preparations for the draft have been going on for quite the last few months. Obviously, our scouts have done a great job in preparing for this draft. We're looking forward to Friday night and to Saturday. Most likely, I would probably put it at a very high percentage that we will be making a selection at pick number 10.
And what kind of, and just two other things for me, what kind of player do you feel like you can get there?
We know we're going to get a good player, whether it's a starting goalie, a top four defenseman, or someone that we feel can play on our top two lines. In looking at what we think will be available at 10, we know those criteria will be met. Obviously, with a lot of these players not playing a lot of hockey last year, so stepping into the NHL might be a bit more difficult, but you never know depending on the player, on his physical maturity, mental maturity, where they're at. You have a surprise, but for the most part, most likely that player will go back to his team this year and will probably have a good chance to step in our lineup the following year.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is your take on Joey Daccord being selected.
Yeah, obviously, first and foremost, we want to thank Joey for his time in Ottawa. Joey obviously had a tough injury last year, but he battled through it. He was ready to play this year. He was very good for us when he was in Belleville. We knew with the expansion process that we would lose a player. That player is Joey. But we feel that we lost a player probably at the position where we have the most depth. Obviously in Ottawa this year, we'll have Matt Murray and most likely Anton Forsberg. Also, we've got Philip Gustafsson, who probably was one of our best goalies at the NHL level last year, if not who played the best. We got Matt Solgaard, who came in and I think went a record of 7-0 and was just outstanding in Belleville. We got Kevin Mandolese, who the previous year was the best goal in the Quebec League. And we got Levi Marilainen, who just recently at the Finnish junior camp is showing the form of being their number one goalie for the World Junior team. So we know we have a lot of depth as far as quality and quantity at the goaltending position.
Pierre, the next question is from Wayne Scanlon at sportsnet.ca.
Yeah, good morning, Pierre. A couple from me. Those picks in the second round at 39 and 42 kind of jump out as having some possibilities. Do you think there's a chance you could package those and maybe move up in the draft?
Oh, Wayne, that's a good question. That's something we've always looked at. Always, if we feel that there's a player wherever in the first round and worthy of a 2 seconds or a second and a third or a second and another pick in another year, then we'll definitely look at that. Obviously, this draft is a bit different with the lack of viewings of multiple prospects. So I think all teams are on the same page. The 32 teams are all on the same page. So it's definitely something that we've looked at, talked about on multiple fronts as recently as yesterday evening. If we feel we could move 39 and whatever pick or whatever asset to move in the first round, we would do it. It always depends on if the player that you're really targeting is there also.
And the other question I had, how busy do you expect to be between now and the 28th and the first day or two of free agency?
Well, there's been a lot of chatter amongst general managers. Obviously, we were in a trade freeze until today at 1 p.m. I predict, and I think a lot of my counterparts will predict the discussions will start ramping up. It's very unfortunate that we're not all in the same city, Montreal, as it was originally planned. But I still think with the way communication and the way we talk to each other quite frequently, that it won't affect us if we need to do something or if trades are happening in the NHL.
Thank you.
Pierre, next up is Ian Mendez at The Athletic.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for doing this. Pierre, I got 3 questions for you, if that's okay. The first would be, you had a couple of veteran guys exposed in Dadonov and Tierney, and I'm just wondering, where do you see their roles for your club next season?
Well, we see them, both of them, having a bounce back year for our hockey team next year. Obviously, there were some things with Evgeny, not having his family here, moving to a new place. He had to isolate for quite a long time when he first got here, new teammates. So we definitely feel that Evgeny's going to have a strong bounce back year. And the previous year, Chris Tierney was our leading scorer. So I think both have the talent, both have the drive to definitely have bounce back years for us. Both were extremely professional when I called them on Saturday afternoon to let them know that they were being exposed. And I think it's part of the process with our team and many teams where good players were left exposed, and now they know that they're going to come back here and give it all.
Last week, there was a lot of movement just before the roster freeze, and I'm wondering how aggressive were you in maybe trying to land somebody that was on an exposed list from another team and maybe trying to fit one of your own needs before that roster freeze?
Obviously, we had several discussions with other teams, but at the same time, you have to think if we acquire someone, then we'd have to expose someone else. So is it worth it to give up an asset and lose someone that we protected, that we would have lost that asset? So I think it's always balancing things out, but we always felt, if we were going to acquire someone at that point in time, what was the positive from it? What was the negative? Was it long-term? Was it short-term? So, we had plenty of discussions last week before the roster freeze, but we just felt that this was the best course of action.
And my last question would be, do you have any update on any of negotiations you have with any of your pending RFAs?
No updates. Ian, you know that we don't negotiate through the media. And we know the importance of all our RFAs, whether it's Brady Tkachuk, Drake Batherson, Philip Gustafsson, Victor Mete, and even Logan Brown. All these players have a chance to have quite an impact for us in the upcoming season or in multiple seasons. So once we have an update, we'll make sure that everyone knows about it.
Thank you.
Pierre, the next question is from Kyle Bukowskis at Sportsnet.
Morning, Pierre. Just the one for me. You talked earlier about the depth you have in goal, and Trent Mann was saying earlier this week that, if you were to lose a goaltender in the expansion draft, then the conversation becomes, how do we feel about our depth there within the organization? I just wondering from your standpoint, how would you describe the depth in net within the organization, maybe compared to other seasons that you've been within the Senators franchise for?
Well, we always say that we feel our depth is as strong as it's ever been, especially since in my time in Ottawa or in my time as general manager. It's something that we've targeted through the draft. In the last few years, we've taken a goalie pretty much every single year. I think it's something that we feel, and we've traded for some goalies. We just feel that it's the most important position, and as I alluded to before, I think we've got the quality and we've got the quantity at every level. What really has impressed us is how the players have progressed. Certain goaltenders have progressed, and the progression has been at different pace. But we feel that we're in a good spot, especially. We feel and we know that Matt Murray is going to bounce back and have a very strong year. In my time in the NHL, and I was talking with DJ yesterday, in his time in the NHL and his time playing in the minors or in the NHL, we don't feel that we've ever seen a goalie practice as hard as Anton Forsberg or have that type of work ethic. We feel that the way that Gustafsson played last year and the way Sogard stepped in the American League at the end of the year says a lot about those two as far as goaltending prospects. And when you have someone of Levi Merilainen's caliber, who we feel will be one of the better junior goalies in the world this year, and at the same time you have Mandelays, who had some outstanding games last year for Belleville and some not so outstanding games as a first-year pro that were really set in net for years to come. But that doesn't mean that if we feel that there's a Vezina caliber goalie at 10, that we will not take him.
Pierre, the last remaining question I have in English is from Murray Pam at Full Press NHL.
Good morning, Pierre. A quick one.
Good morning, Murray.
Hi. Is there any players right now that maybe you can mention that may not be receiving qualifying offers?
That's a good question. Why don't I just go ahead and do that? The players that will not be receiving qualifying offers, and they've been told, are Marcus Hogberg, Michael Amadio, Fortunato, Davidson, Magwood, Bodang, and Kopaka.
Okay, thank you.